the regular meeting. I'm calling Brian. Do you want to stop the tape and start again?
We're good.
Okay, good. All right. Calling to order the regular meeting of the New Orleans Municipal Yacht Harbor Management Corporation for Tuesday, October 8th. Attendance?
Washington. Present. Ryan May.
Present. All right. Approval of the, any amendments to the agenda. Does anyone propose any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, I ask for a motion to approve the agenda as published. What? Wait a minute, stop.
Scratch that, President. Amendment to the agenda.
Wait, what? Oh, that's an amendment to that. We're just looking to change the agenda. It's already on our agenda, right? It's on our agenda.
Yeah.
No, the agenda is published, approving it.
Okay.
A motion by Watkins, second by Hammond. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so it passes unanimously. All right. Presentation of the agenda. Approval of the minutes from the August 13th meeting. Everybody recalls the September meeting was canceled for Hurricane Francine. So approval of the minutes. Everybody reviewed them. Motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Chris Hammond.
I amendment to that. The closure of the meeting is noted as happening at 5:49 p.m. That should be revised to, I'm assuming, the 6:49 p.m.
Okay. Did you get that?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a, that means we're making a second. We discussed it. So Mark Heck made a motion, a second of the motion. Then we had discussion. Mark Heck pointed out that there was an error, we believe, in the meeting, in the minutes of the end of the meeting, the time the meeting ended. So please, we'll get that, we'll look at the tape and get that adjusted. Any other changes to the minutes that were sent out? Okay, I ask for approval of the minutes as amended. Is that time change? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, as amended, we have approved unanimously. Okay. The approval of the August 13th Finance Committee meeting minutes. Motion to approve those minutes. Mark Heck, second.
Hammond.
Chris Hammond. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No, it passes unanimously. Okay. Our first action item is last month's meeting. We had a proposal to change our rules and regulations. We had a motion to approve the changes. It was for the rates for our short-term transient rate, the short-term lease slips. The original motion included, so that passed, but it had to lay over by law. It had to lay over for 2 weeks. So now it's before us for final approval. But I would like to offer an amendment, because originally the original motion said that it would include an increase in liveaboard rates. I would like to have a motion. I'd like to amend the original motion to strike the increase in the liveaboard rates for the standard slips. And the motion will only include the transient rates. So the amended motion would state, well, first of all, Keisha, do you have the, Brian, I didn't see that. The original motion, who made it and who seconded it? I have the minutes in front of me, if I remember correctly. We need the original motion maker and second to approve any amendments. So the original motion was made by Roger Watkins, seconded by Mark Heck. Are y'all in agreement with the amendment?
Yes.
The person made the motion and seconded it, both in agreement with the amendment. So the new motion, the amended motion will read, approve changes to the harbor rules and regulations, specifically HR 225, to remove seasonal tenant rates and add monthly transient rates at 140% increase in the prorated standard slip rate for boats over 30 feet, boats under 30 feet at a monthly transient rate at 100% increase over the prorated standard slip rate. No changes in the electronic billing rate from existing seasonal transient rates. Also, HR 25, in addition to set transient rates, language will be added to allow municipal yacht harbor management corporation staff to set special event rates when there is expected higher demand, such as the 2025 Super Bowl. Special event rates will be set based on market analysis. That is our amended motion. The motion was made by and approved by Roger Watkins and Mark Heck. Open for discussion. Any board members have any questions? All right, do we have any comment cards on that?
None.
All right, all those in favor of the amended motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Tim, would you like me to read the rules into the record?
Yeah, I guess, I thought I just did.
You read the motion, but we have officially the rules and regulations.
Oh, how that motion will be implemented into the actual rules?
Yes.
Sure.
You can direct me to publish it in the
No, I think just make sure that what your rules are written comply with that motion.
Okay.
Okay. If anybody else sees it differently, I think that's fine. Make sure that what's in the rules complies verbatim with that motion. All right. Next is the financial report. Roger Watkins, correct.
Just want to make a quick note, there was a discrepancy between on the reports we received, between the Excel spreadsheet at the bottom and the notes that are at the top of the summary. So there was the spreadsheet figures here at the end of this report. As of September 30th, 2024, Yacht Harbor Corporation has total assets of $17,484,400, with current assets of $3,497,800, and the bulk of which is in the form of cash of $3.225 million in two accounts at JP Morgan Chase Bank. Net fixed assets total $1.317 million. Other assets include leases receivables at $12.242 million and deferred outflow of pension resources at $423,000. On the liability side, Yacht Harbor Corporation has total liabilities of $13.153 million, of which $245,600 are current liabilities, consisting mainly of accounts payable and accrued expenses of $88,800. Under revenues of $132,000, accrued annual leave and sick leave of $174,400. Long-term liabilities consist of net pension liability of $899,900 and $12.007 million for deferred inflow of long-term leases. That leaves Municipal Yacht Harbor Corporation with total equity of $4.33 million, of which $3.83 million is in unrestricted net assets. In the month of September, Yacht Harbor Corporation had revenues of $187,300 and total expenses of $116,000, which resulted in a net profit of $71,300. Year-to-date revenues are $1.477 million with total expenses of $1.585 million, resulting in a year-to-date total loss of $108,318. Current slip occupancy is 95%.
Motion to approve the financial report. Mark Heck, second. Anybody want a second? Second by Banks. All right. Oh, motion by Ryan Banks, I'm sorry. Second by Mark Heck. Okay. Thank you. Speak up. I'm old. Okay. Discussion. Any discussion on the treasurer financial report? Any comment cards?
Charles?
Just a thought, I mean, we've been spending a lot of money lately, and the park provides stuff for the whole city. Is there any thought about trying to recoup some of the expenses that we have from the city and putting them in the budget? Last Sunday, I went out to the boat launch area, and there were a lot of people there. So it seems like as we provide a service for the whole city, we should be in the city's budget as a regular park. That we get, like, you know, even if it's just 1% or whatever, something, it'd still be about $100,000. So having the city, like the trees you guys trimmed, it seemed like that was deferred maintenance, that before we took over the park and parkways wasn't trimming their trees, so we get stuck with the bill. That's $180,000 there. We started adding this money up, and it started to add up to be a substantial amount of money. We thought about the city, asking the city to help us offset some of our costs for the services we provide.
Board members, any comments? My understanding has been that the property out here, we keep all the revenue from here, and it's self-sufficient. I haven't given any thought, and I'm not aware that the city has ever contributed to this budget, but it doesn't matter. I'm not inclined to go to the city and ask them for funding for it.
I guess the point being, we might keep all the revenue, but if we're providing services for the whole city that exceed our revenue, we might be going negative. So just a thought, maybe down the road.
If we get that point, I think it's something we probably would need to address, but we're not at that point now. We don't have negative revenues. We have more revenues than we've had in the past, and I say thanks to our staff, both Brian and Ariana, we have more revenue, high occupancy rates than we've had since I've been familiar with this organization the past 4 years. So I'm not inclined to it. I'm just speaking for myself. I'm not inclined for a motion to say we should approach the city with money while we have a surplus right now. We have some money in, not a whole lot, but we have some money in, say, any other board members?
I just wonder the impact over time, like we have 108 loss, 100,000 loss. So we do have 3 more months. And just thinking about where we would be in December compared to where we were December last year. And if we continue to have big deficits, then eventually the surplus will just grow. So it is something to consider at least a long-term impact. And because we're thinking about expenses, these go up all the time. So although we are receiving revenue, just kind of, and I don't want to mention the word study, but just kind of thinking long-term, where are we going to be if we continue to have deficits like this large? Now, it may change by December, there are 3 months, and I do see that the revenue or the net income has not always been negative, but it's not super high either. Because I'm looking at in April, in June, August, I mean, jump back up to September. It's just a wonder for now, talking about long term, 10 years from now, we're going to
It's something we certainly consider for a long-term plan. Brian, you want to explain to us again why we're had negative 180 and negative 18 in January and February? Wasn't that the trees?
The trees, yeah.
And Brian, haven't we put in the budget now to carry money in the budget for an annual work? Didn't we include some money for that, knowing that instead of having it be one big expense, or are we gonna do it like in phases?
Yeah, I mean, we have internal funds set aside for.
Right, so I guess my point is, we're now budgeting moving forward after spending that money, and realizing that we don't wanna spend almost $200,000 to do this, to like take the fiscal approach of saying, every couple of years, we're gonna do a certain amount of the trees, so it becomes easier to put into the budget versus, oh, hey, here's $200K. So
Yeah, we have several internal accounts for long-term maintenance and operation, including the dock replacement, which is a 40-year budget item. So we do have many long-term items that are in there for the future. So the next guys will be able to continue to operate.
Where would you, and I guess I'll address, because you said we would ask the city for a percentage or whatever, where would you want to ask the city for monies from?
Well, this is my idea, is that, I'm going to, you guys are new. I actually was on a city council for 8 years. Before that, I was a park and rec commissioner. I'm from here, but that happened out in California. So I looked at the parks and parkway budget. And that budget is roughly, say, $10 million. It's for 2,000 acres. We got roughly 20 acres, that's 1%. So if you said, hey, we're 1% of all your parks, and we are used by the whole public, 1% is $100,000. And I'm thinking, you know, there's grant money, there's other matching funds, you can take that 100,000, maybe turn it into 200,000 or 300,000. If the city said, you know what, we're gonna put in the Park and Parkways budget 100,000 allocated to help the people out at West End because it's used by the whole city. So that would be my answer to you there.
I just wanted to know what you were trying to explain yourself with literally ungenerated funds.
Sure.
Any other questions on financial?
Actually, Ed, we used to be in that budget until 2013 or thereabouts, from what I understand.
I don't know if anybody here has that historical knowledge. I was not aware, other than saying that they did come cut trees here, post-Katrina, cut grass here, post-Katrina. Is that what you mean by being in their budget, or there was a line item for municipal yacht harbor in their budget in 2013, you're saying?
Up until I talked to Mr. Karan at Parks and Parkway at one of the meetings, and he indicated that during Mitch Landry's administration, some things changed, and there's some.
But the question was clear. Was it a line, or is it your understanding there was a line item question for municipal yacht harbor?
Who's head of Parks and Parkways, it was my understanding from the conversation with him that we were in their budget up until about 2013.
All right. All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the financial report. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. The rest of the report, Brian?
The fishing pier, currently it's being held up at FEMA. They're reevaluating something because of some internal issue and understanding on their side. So the city is still working with them to try and clarify what the holdup is. Yeah, we're waiting on that one. The lease of the boathouses, the auction is live. It is posted on our website. It was advertised in the Times Tribune, emailed to everybody that we knew. The auction is going from October 1st and ends October 31st. All of the relevant information is on our website. West End Park, Breakwater Park, there was some minor Hurricane Francis debris. That cleanup is done. Other than there's a tree leaning over, which I'm working on getting that evaluated. It's not dangerous because it's laying on the ground, so working with that one. The permitting issues we saw, no change in that. Parking lot rental, we're still moving forward, renting spaces. The marina, Hurricane Francine, we had one cleat came out of the dock. That was the only damage for marina. And that would be billed to the slip tenant. They tied the boat incorrectly. The Wi-Fi poles have been installed, and I'm working with Cox to schedule the installation, so we'll have Wi-Fi in the marina as soon as Cox finishes their job. The west gate, it's been damaged for a while. Scheduled for installation, came back from the galvanizers and was slightly damaged, so they are repairing it, and then it'll come in and install that gate. And then slip renewal requests have gone out, just wanted to say that. Our staff is working hard to make sure that process runs smoothly. It is challenging, but we have a good system, I think. We're going to get it complete by the time it's due. Quality of life requests that have been on here for additional signage, both at the east side and then also along Breakwater. I requested those signs, so I'll just try to reach out in person. Point parking improvements. We had some drawings done. The company that was doing all the drawings provided us with some of the information, and then apparently several of the employees that were involved all quit. So I'm not asking that company specifically for any more information. I'm gonna reach out and try and find another group to give us some more detail. But like I said, they did give us a thing. We're not throwing money away. We do have some drawings from them. Just be utilized. The piling paint, let's go on that. We, like I said, those pilings were inspected. We've met with, created a maintenance plan, selected the paint. And right now we're getting working out the best way to prepare the existing pilings to have the new paint applied. And we'll be doing that in-house since it's not an emergency, it's just something our maintenance can do. And just basically, if you can get all the pilings done within a year, that's perfect. And then that should have a 5 to 10 year depending life on that paint. So it's just a long-term maintenance of it. What's the development expenses? August was 5,893. September 4,215. Brings the total for 2024 to 80,009. The majority of that was Stone Pigman working on the CEA, which is still in draft form. That's all I have. Yeah, and I guess one other thing that's development related, we partnered with the Regional Planning Commission. We're utilizing a grant that they received for brownfield studies. So we're having a brownfield study, which is basically a pollution study on the Weston parking area. And it's just information. If they do find anything, they would come up with a plan on how to remediate it. If they don't find anything, it's something that we have in our hands so that we make a developer not have to worry about it in the future. And that's all paid for by the Regional Planning Commission through a grant. That concludes the director's report.
Any board members have any questions?
Yes, I do have a question, but it has nothing to do with the report. More of a question on, has anyone reached out to you at this point for the Super Bowl and doing any events or actually doing anything, bringing boats in and things like to the harbor for the Super Bowl? We're about 3 months out now, and I mean.
Yeah, we have several smaller boats with people coming in town. Some people in the other departments of the city asked us if we could accommodate the mega yacht, but we don't have facility that can handle that.
And there hasn't been anyone reaching out to do any type of events or sponsorships here from some of the events for the Super Bowl?
No. I will say that the workboat show, we have some people reaching out to do working with that to allow them to use a very low-key use of our dock space for that.
Okay. For the fishing pier, it says a contractor's on board, we're waiting for this approval. They've selected a contractor?
At this point, the contract is the wall.
Yeah.
They chose to, but they haven't.
What was that all about?
Fishing pier.
Oh, okay.
Let's hope they don't.
All right, any other board members?
Stone Pigman working on the CFP. So any timeline?
It's not up to us, it's up to all the relevant political entities that would have to review it and get it before we saw it.
Meaning the city, state, Justin Powers?
So, yeah, the city council, Jefferson Parish, and the state all needs to agree.
So we're gonna be paying $5,000 roughly a month until they get it together. So it's gonna be 5 years from now, 2 years from now, 2 years from now, and like pay $5,000 until they decide to do it. If there's there needs to be some consideration that we stop until the agreement comes. And then we continue. I just don't see paying someone to wait.
So let me just try and correct me if I'm wrong, but they're the one ones that are shepherding this route for us, so we're not waiting. They're the ones that are drafting a CEA and passing it around to all the legal entities till we get, and they're all, okay, we're good with that, and then it's signed. So nobody else is gonna draft the CEA if we don't do it. So they're doing the CEA and getting the different parties to agree to it, so then we can get them to pass, each one of them has to pass an ordinance, not the state's just an administrative, Department of Administration. But Jefferson and New Orleans have to agree to it, so they're the ones that are right, no one else is right, no one else is gonna right. We're the ones that have vested interest in getting it done.
Still think it's a free fall. I mean, I can take as long as I want. So there's no accountability, because I'm not saying that they're not doing that, they could, but what is it to them? The timeline, it doesn't matter to them. They can take 20 years, you know, and they will say, oh, we're waiting for this, new election, this and that, and we'll just keep paying and paying and paying, because they're facilitating. At some point, somebody needs to facilitate them.
Who's them?
The
Some big-
big-
But what do you want
I
a
don't-
motion?
I don't-
Proposal to- I'm not serious, I mean, what do you want us to
This
do?
is a discussion.
Other than, I understand, I'm saying, so what are we doing, Brian? I mean, put us all at ease, I agree with you, I'm not disagreeing with you.
It can take.
What are we doing with Stone Pigment to keep the pedal to the metal with them to get it done? Do we have updates from them? Should we get them an update?
I mean, I can get an update.
Calls with them.
I mean, they are writing, they wrote the CEA, they're circulating it, they're making amendments to it. I see it, you know, they're billing it hourly, I see exactly what they spent time on. We're using Stone Pigment for lots of things right now, honestly. We're evaluating our short-term rental lease. But specifically, that's the cost on that CEA, so.
Can you, I think it's appropriate, but I wouldn't necessarily have a motion to ask them, are there impediments that we can help with, I mean, politically, right,
I
to
mean, it's.
get this moving forward fast. I think everybody on this board has an interest in getting this thing to move forward. And I know there's a lot of steps, because you're talking about 3 political entities, but to getting the CEA done.
I mean, I see it as it is moving.
Okay, they all
I've seen
work
a lot
with
more
the different
detail.
governmental entities and making changes, okay?
I just see,
Trust me.
I just think it needs a timeline, that's all, that's all, I just think that this is, because they can take as long as they want, not that they will, but they can. And this is a business for them, so their interest is them first. And so if it takes longer for them, it's okay, it's gonna get done, it's all right.
If we think our attorney is just padding the bill, is what I'm hearing you say, then we need to get a new attorney. That's what we get a
I just
feeling
think we
for.
need to put a timeline on it. By this time, we set it, and we say.
Doesn't it sound like they are moving and sending it to the different political entities and getting it back and making the changes? If we weren't seeing that, then I could understand it, maybe there's some validity to it, but if Brian's saying, they're sending it to them, they're getting it back, they're making the changes that those political entities that we are at the mercy of have asked for changes, and then they got to recirculate it to everybody with these new changes, that is happening on a regular basis, what should we be telling them? They're doing it, they're taking action, yes, it costs money, that's how these things go. But if we think they're not taking the proper action, we should take an action. But I'm just trying to figure out what's the direction we give our administration. Make sure that they keep moving forward, that's what I would say. But you have other suggestions from the board, let's.
So for me, as a CEO, I have a timeline. And I say, I need this to happen by then, and then we can reconsider it later.
So let me put that in context. How often do you contact Jefferson Parish's elected school board and say, you need to do this on this timeline, because I'm telling you what you gotta do? That's what you're talking about.
I'm talking about an employee that we hire, not the board that governs me.
But it's the political entities that are holding this up, that keep making changes. We give them a timeline, they can't make the state or the city council or Jefferson Parish do something, can they? That we should be telling them, you need to go to Jefferson Parish and give them a deadline. That's what really is the timeline. So they say, I'm fine with this, I'm ready to bring it to ordinance.
I just seem very slow, it seems like it will be here what I don't know who that, you chief, call your people.
Well, I certainly will at the appropriate time. When they tell me we're done, we have something we've been told everybody's in agreement. I promise you, if Stone Pickett says, everybody said they're fine with it, but nobody's introduced an ordinance, I will start picking up the phone and calling council members, and city and Jefferson Parish Council and state administration. That is our job, I think, at that point.
Is there a point now where we issue some type of performance incentive? Because that may be an option that might save us in the long run if we get things moving, because when there's a performance incentive, people move.
I think it's worth asking Stone Pickett what they think we can do to get those entities to move forward, but I said there's a famous quote about two things you never want to see being made, right? Sausage and laws.
We have one in
laws
place.
being made.
We have one in place, if there's much change, like, can I just go back to some one?
No, remember we had to get the statute passed, this past legislative session, we got a statute passed that allows us to go forward. That's, what was in the past is gone. This is new. And it's about trying to figure out what the cooperative endeavor agreement is, well, how much is the tax split gonna be between the two? Does the state really want anything? They've never asked for anything before, but do they want something? Brian, step in, right, if I'm saying something wrong, but.
The state's gonna get a lease payment.
Right, what say so do they have in what the development is eventually?
Okay, so last CA got us to a certain point, we're beyond that, now we're talking
It's
about
expired.
things that
It's
expired.
no longer anything, it is gone.
So now we're,
Doesn't exist because it never got finally passed by each of the entities. So
Okay.
everybody has to, it had a deadline, then every entity had to vote on it again
okay.
to extend it. Did not happen. Because everybody did this other stuff in town. So, I mean, I'm sure that was the basis of them starting it, and it just, it's working to get it done.
Now we're in the details of it, the same one.
I think it's worthwhile either sharing with them what we talked about tonight, or have them watch our video. The board is concerned about movement not happening. If there's anything they can do to expedite that, we'd appreciate it.
Good.
I mean, I think that's what we do. We have a talk with our attorneys and say, we want to get it done.
And then who are the people that they need to contact? Like, who want me, who did you contact? Who do you need to contact? Who's left? What's the cycle? I mean, not, because it's their job. I'm not saying I want to do their job. But it's going on a long time. Like, we going on 2 years. And I just think that's a little long to get, and I'm not, I know what it takes to get this one to agree, this one to agree. I get that and I understand. I just need to be someone moving. It will be another 10 years before you know it, and we're just pushing and not, maybe not waiting, but
We're at the mercy of other legislative bodies. We're a legislative body, we're at the mercy of other legislative bodies that are bigger than us, right? They legislate stuff to the legislation to do. That's kind of where we are right now. But I don't think we should just sit pat. I think we should say, let's keep moving, and if you hit a stone wall, we need to know that.
and so how important is this to the mayor? One of the things she wanted was economic development.
Any of us, well, all of us were appointed by the mayor. Any of us are welcome to call the mayor and ask, what it is, if they feel still inclined. I'm not being sarcastic, I'm saying, but I would say that as a board, I think and I would tell you, it is important to the mayor. And I think they want to get it done. But once again, she's the administration, she's the executive branch. It's the legislative branch that has to sign off on this, and she'll have to sign off on it too. I think it's moving forward satisfactorily. And so, yes, I say what I said with a bit of sarcasm about calling the mayor. At the end of the day, my answer if I'm the mayor would be, y'all do your job, get it done, and get it complete, and report back to me. Right? I mean, so we're working to get it done. Your suggestion of calling the mayor is like,
Who,
a
if
little
I was
crazy.
there, who you need? Oh, you need to speak to this person, get my phone. Listen, people call you, they coming in right now. That's how it works with so many things. So that's, if you want something done, that's how your paper gets here from here. That's just all I'm saying. I don't know, I'm not that politically
I
connected.
think you have the attorneys that we hired who know this process very well, help the city get it done, or working on it. and they're contacting the chiefs of staff, the clerks of council, the people who are gonna make this happen. They're doing it, short of us taking on that role. I don't suggest it,
I
but
don't want to sit on that either, I'm not saying that.
I think we just tell our attorneys to keep their feet to the fire, that we'd like to see progress as quickly as possible. But that's my take. I think when the time comes, as you said, that it's all ready and nothing's happening, that's the appropriate time to call the executive officer and say, can you please help us get this done? Until then, I think it's premature, anything like that. I think we keep our attorneys on notice that we're trying to get this done now. All right. Any other questions on the director's report? Any comment cards?
Charles?
Yes. I guess Commissioner Hammond, one other thought you asked about funding for the previous thing, sorry to go back. But, we passed that Parks for All tax. So to me, when I voted for that, I was expecting that some of it was coming here. I didn't realize that it was parks for everybody else and not parks for us out here. So I think there is money, and that's part of why I thought about that.
Hold on, I need a correction. You say things that are inaccurate. Read the study, it clearly states that it wasn't parks for everybody else. It talked about here and it said, what needs to happen here is economic development. And that's why you see board members so frustrated that's not happening.
It was titled Parks for All. There's nothing inaccurate about me saying that.
Got that,
There
I'm
is
just telling you what the
Parks for All.
results.
That's all I
That's the
said.
title, I'm talking about what's in the meat of it, and it
Yeah,
says. what
but
they
I'm
need
not
to
saying
do,
anything
economic development,
inaccurate,
and we'll work
that it's
together.
titled Parks for All.
Fine.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm sorry,
Okay?
give this time back.
You know, if the report's got other details in a hard line and you make a title, then the public's gonna be misled. Okay? And I did go to those meetings where the mayor was there and everybody else, and it was called the Parks for All campaign. I got behind it. I supported it because I have a former Park and Rec Commissioner. I believed in it. So that's why I think we should be part of it. I do want to thank Ryan for the fact that, I don't know if you guys started this, but this is something that I think is very helpful to the public, that there's printed documents out now. Thank you for all getting this done. It's a big thing. I will add, and maybe, you're right, it's in the details and all, Tim, you know better than I do on this. But to me, the original CEA talked about people sharing expenses. So when I hear Dr. Criddle talk about, our costs here, we're at $140,000. Why isn't Jefferson Parish putting up $40,000 or something, and the city of New Orleans having a stake in this? Because then they would be motivated. If their group was meeting every month saying we got to allocate another $5,000, $10,000 to stone pigment for the CEA that we're working on, they might be trying to get it done, and if it's sitting there with some councilman in Jefferson Parish holding it up, or he's doing something and studying it, they didn't have skin in the game, is what it's called. So I thought that the original CEA called for everybody to have skin in the game to get this stuff done, and that's maybe a solution there. They're gonna get a bill for all of this after it's done. It says, hey, we all agree in 2021 to share expenses, and now this is your bill. Do they even know it's coming, or is it not something that's happening anymore? Maybe they don't misunderstand the CEA. That's a thought. That's it.
Board members, any comments? Any other cards?
That's it.
Rules and Standards Committee. We had a Rules and Standards Committee meeting today, and we heard someone asking for some exceptions to the ordinance. We had a motion to table it till next meeting. So, that's the only thing I have on Rules and Standards. I don't have anything on unfinished business.
We have a public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, how many cards?
If I may.
Yeah.
I already got one. Go
All
ahead.
right. This McAlpin Boathouse 49. Y'all got a little taste of what we've been dealing with for years with our neighbor on Boathouse 50. In the beginning, we did go round and round over these drawings because she always wanted to extend that boathouse farther than what was allowed. So that did take a long time, and somewhere along the way, we were assured that she was never going to extend another 10 feet. So Charlie Worthy was here. We both did sign off on original plans that were never going to extend 10 feet. If she has in fact submitted other plans for any alterations on that house, we can sign off on it. So I don't really know, I don't know what she wants to do truthfully. But neither neighbor is in agreement for her to extend her house 10 feet, which is what she has been trying to do all along. So, I don't know. I don't know what she's doing. I just want to go on record as saying we've never seen any other drawings, and we didn't sign off on 10 feet, her extending that boathouse 10 feet. And she seems to go on and on about having the neighbor's approval, not to extend that boathouse 10 feet.
Any other comment, Carter?
Karen?
Well, that kind of complicates the situation. So I went over there with Ms. Blanco and our architect and her builder. And I think that the problem that Steve and Mark had initially thought might be the situation is that what they were marking as which of the column lines was the actual original.
I'm sorry, Karen, they, don't use the word they. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
They the owner, they the architects, they our architect.
Steve's response to you was, reading the plans, he could not tell which of the column lines was the original front wall of the boathouse. But based upon what he thought it was, then these plans would have extended 7 feet where it would have been in violation. Mark, Mr. Heck, recognized it's the same thing, that if they can bring something back to show that the column line is C3 versus C4, or C4 versus 3 feet, then it would be in compliance. I just went over there, and I'm dead certain that that these plans from the front wall of the boathouse, which she showed me the post that they want to go back to, is 60 feet. It is not 70 feet from the front wall of the boathouse. The boathouses are a little turned because of the way they're angled, but the plans where she told me she wants to go is only 60 feet from the front wall of the boathouse. Now, that's still.
See, that's what she's been saying all along, but the drawings show 70.
But wait, just let me finish. So, she still needs approval of the neighbors to go past 40 feet. And I don't know if the neighbors are taking that back. Because if the neighbors were in approval of going out 60 feet, what I was going to suggest that this board might consider is if Steve issued a provisional
I'm going to ask you to let Tom continue since we just provided this protection, information.
issue a provisional approval based upon Steve Finnegan issuing a letter to the board confirming that he has now seen plans that do comply with the ordinance, as opposed to waiting till next month. And both the architect, the owner, and the builder said that they would do so. The builder also said Steve wanted to come out and see that he would meet with us.
I had a comment on that. Steve let me know that if it was C3, there's likely to be different issues with the plans that bring it out of ordinance in other ways.
And we knew, and I spoke with them that there were other.
That he has provided in writing to them already.
Yes, and he told me about them, but I didn't understand each one of those. And I mentioned to them that I understand that there would be other issues. Would they correct those too? And they said yes. Now.
No, I appreciate that explanation, but I think the motion that we talked about, I mean, we just tabled it, but the discussion that Mark Heck had with their architect about provide us with some documentation, and that's not somebody writing an email. That's a legal stamped document saying, here's where this is, here's where this is. So, that's what we need to move forward, and then we rely on our expert, our architect, Steve, if you prefer to Mr. Finnegan, to say this is in compliance with the ordinance.
And I appreciate that. I just want to report back.
No, I definitely appreciate the due diligence that you
on
did.
this site, so where they want to go, which would not bring it out of storage or boathouse, and bring it out 4 feet, 3 feet farther than Charlie Worth's boathouse in the back, which is a 60-foot post. I mean, the ordinance is, those boathouses are 80 feet long. So if you come 20 feet from the back post, you're at 60 feet. And I went and I counted the support columns, every 20 feet, and saw it further cross feet. So assuming that she's telling me this is where I want to build, if that's what her plan's saying, she was only asking about 60 feet.
And Gary, that's partly what I assumed, but this is something that, we've had several projects come in that don't provide enough information. And with that, sorry this is taking her that long, but people need to be better about providing the information.
I appreciate it.
So,
I just want him to get that. I don't want to answer.
Mike?
Yes, ma'am. I'm decided I don't have anything more to say after listening to Carrie and everything else, except to add that I'm not entirely certain if we can rely on what we were told or what Carrie was told tonight, and so I think it's a good idea to get support. That boathouse has been abandoned for years without even the slightest maintenance or upkeep or care about its condition. I live next door. We live next door. I have watched demolition by neglect. When she told you that that was her home, I can tell you it's no one's home, and it's not habitable at this moment. So I hope that she does do something to improve it, but I would trust but verify. So thank you.
What happened to no comment?
I'm sorry.
You sound like a lawyer.
One who moves quickly. Thank you.
I appreciate your comments. All right, any other cards?
No.
Thank you. And yeah, I will give assurance that I wouldn't support anything that doesn't come with written stamped documentation reviewed by our office.
So where does the board stand on this?
Right now, we've
issue
tabled
right
it
now?
we've tabled it until they give us more information. We'll have another rules and standards committee meeting.
So next month?
Yes.
If they provide us with enough information, there's been people who were supposed to provide information, we didn't have a meeting. If they
Okay.
provide everything they're supposed to provide, we'll have a meeting next month.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Next agenda item. Yeah, unfinished business, I don't have anything to report. Economic Redevelopment Committee, I don't have anything to report. Quality of life and safety.
Public comment?
I'm sorry, you're right, I apologize. You guys comment cards?
Charles on economic redevelopment.
Well, I think, I didn't know if I had one for unfinished business.
It
Go
was
ahead.
tree trimming we discussed.
Go ahead, I skipped right over, I should have asked, any board members anything on unfinished business? I did not have anything on that. Comment cards on unfinished business?
It was tree trimming, but I think we covered that already.
Well, no, actually, I did want to add one thing. I may have missed a lot of meetings, but months ago, I brought up the fact about somebody that told me that there used to be a diversion at the end of the Southern Yacht Club from the water. And I didn't know, I know you said a few months ago, you mentioned you were going to look into that, so that it would be unfinished business, and I didn't think about it on the card, but, you know, the idea that we, when they turn on those pumps, sometimes water comes back flowing into here. So that would be something to look at, is whether or not there used to be something out there at Southern Yacht Club that diverted water when the pumps are on out into the lake, as opposed to coming back in and flooding us.
I do need a follow-up with the pump operators there, but I spoke to them. They do not turn those pumps on unless the floodgates are closed. They test them. I'm not sure y'all saying y'all get flooded when they test them on a weekly basis? Or monthly basis?
Well, it's only been like annually, really.
Okay, that's my point. We haven't closed the floodgate in years.
I think he's talking about the pump station over there at the end of the canal that JB's fuel dock and the other one is on.
Yes,
I think
I'm
that's
sorry,
the
yes,
one.
thank you for catching that, I didn't realize.
You're saying that pump station is what's causing y'all the flood, not the giant.
Correct.
He's saying that, I'm not.
I think we
I
all.
hate to even ask the question.
You're helping him say.
But no, but honestly, This entire time we've had these discussions, we talked about contacting the Corps of Engineers and stuff. I never realized it was this other, that's fine, we can talk to the water board. But I talked to the guy, he goes, hold on a minute, I'm walking in and talking to my engineer. I said, I don't run this place, I live here. He said, we don't have attorneys on. Do we have attorneys on? So they're on once a month, and they never turn them all on at once, and they never operate them. So my understanding was, when it rains, they turn pumps on and people flood.
So it's that pumping station they're referring to.
I got you. So they have a different conversation as to the water board, not the pump
Let me
station.
go back to clarify. What I was told about 5-6 years ago by one of my neighbors was that at the Southern Yacht Club, there was a diversion.
I know what you're talking
So
about.
it's not about turning the pumps on, it's if that diversion existed, could we find out if it did, if he was telling me the truth? And if it did exist.
I mentioned, let me just say this, I mentioned that to him, and he brought up satellite photos, remember, this is government the other way. He brought up satellite photos and said, 2005, we don't see it. Pre-Katrina, satellite photos about the wall, I described the wall, the diversion wall.
Tim, I did find a picture of that
Okay.
diversion. It was from the 1940s.
Okay.
So I don't know how long it lasted there, but the last picture that I found with that diversion
So
was
it was there.
1940s.
Yeah, but maybe it lasted to 2000, it might have lasted 60 years.
I mean, I've been sailing out of here
I'm not
since.
saying it's something that could be put there, but I got the idea that like, oh,
The
something was there until
mid-nineties,
recently,
never.
taken out when they remodeled, or we did the harbor or something. He said, we're pulling up pictures from pre-Katrina, and there's no wall, no diversion wall.
The jetty was to the east of the mouth of the New Basin Canal, is what you're talking about.
There was a jetty on the west side of the New Basin Canal that kind of went out a little bit.
Before this marina was built.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, there's been no jetty since that mouth has been there.
There was really not a jetty, there was a wall there, a wooden wall that preserved the integrity of the land upon which the yacht club was built. And that's what that was for. And then subsequent to that wooden, if you will, bulkhead wall, it was not meant to be a diversion to do anything with respect to a pumping station. I doubt that pumping station was even there at that time. But the cement breakwater wall replaced the wooden bulkhead wall that was there. Well,
Well, the other part becomes is, if there was something there that would prevent us from flooding just periodically, that would improve our quality. So that would be the point. If there's something
Right, I mean, what our conversation was that, and could we be notified at least? Because we all know that level of the building is subject to being flooded, or outside the flood protection levy. But if we could get a heads up, we'd know to pick up our stuff. They just turn it on and we flood. And so that was part of the discussion too, so. All right, any other comment cards? On unfinished business?
None on unfinished business.
Okay, Economic Redevelopment Committee, board members, any comments? Any comment cards? Charles Masala.
When everything kind of ends and all, do we get a copy of the HRA report?
Yes, when it's finished,
Is
absolutely.
there a time frame?
It'll be a public record.
Okay. Thank you.
Calling and safety, do we schedule the meeting for September? That meeting was canceled, because the whole meeting was canceled because of Francine. Do we have anything to report, or do we want to schedule another meeting, you
Yeah,
said?
we just need to schedule it.
Fine, can we schedule it probably like for next month? When's the next scheduled meeting? January, probably? So, and then if it was September, it's every 3 months?
November.
Next month.
Next month, so it's scheduled for November, okay. All right, so there will be a quality of life. Next month. Next meeting is gonna be 13th.
12.
12.
12. So we have a conflict here. We'll get, let's, when we get to schedule that meeting, but next month, when the meeting, there'll be a, quality of life and safety committee meeting. All right, any comments? Board members? Comment cards.
Mr. Marsala?
Yes. You know, I see that somebody I know actually is planning an event out at Breakwater Park. And it seems like we're gonna start to have events out there. There was a large event this past weekend. It says no alcohol, but there were alcohol bottles. So I don't know if we need to think about it as not, as the parking grows and that use of that place grows, that we might want to think about, do the signs really mean anything? And what impact that might have on the neighborhood as we start to see more and more events at Breakwater Park. And then the other thing is something that goes back, you know, a while back, is as far as washing the visitors pier, is that something that you put on the calendar?
What is that, Brian? Talking about washing
That part?
the visitors pier. Oh, okay, yeah. So I went from the park and I'm going, here,
Well, let's
pier right there, where?
let's do two
You're talking about
items.
the pier over here where visitors,
Yes.
visitors not.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other comment cards?
No.
Quality of life?
Nope.
Okay. That is it. The time of the next meeting. We have a time of a conflict here on what is, it says in our published, what is that, what are you reading that? Is that the end? Okay, it's saying it's the 13th, but that would be Wednesday, it's actually November 12th. Correct? So November 12th is our next meeting. And quality of life meeting, any other meetings that month? That's it, huh? Okay. Motion to adjourn? Motion by Heck, second by Hammond.
Yes, sir.
All those in favor? Any opposed? All right. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.